Good morning, everybody. I'd like to continue the series talking about dimethyltryptamine next. But before we get going, there's From Green Beret to Shamanism, One Man's Journey to Hill. This is my memoir about my descent into the abyss and then how I crawled out of it and how I used plant medicine to do so. Also, this is for educational and entertainment purposes only. All right, so back to, the next psychedelic. Dimethyltryptamine. Dimethyltryptamine is the active ingredient in ayahuasca. We've already covered that a couple days ago, but now we're talking about it as a standalone. Okay, so it can be found in roughly 400 different plant and animal species, and including in that 400 is you. You have dimethyltryptamine. It's been scientifically proven that the 2 times that people will experience DMT in their lifetime is at birth and at death. But you can also learn to release it yourself if you go to YouTube and search holotropic breathwork DMT release. You can begin the journey to learn how to release it through breathwork. Okay, some of the differences. As a standalone, it is smoked rather than consumed, consumed as a tea or a drink. It's also very difficult to obtain as opposed to psilocybin, for example. It's a dissociative, but the difference is that it's a 15 to 20 minute dissociative, unlike iboga, which we discussed a couple days ago, ibogaine, the active ingredient in iboga, but which is, can be up to 18 hours long. The next is that when we smoke it, it produces immediate absorption into the bloodstream, bypassing the need for an MAOI, really. Okay, its strengths. I just mentioned that it's only a 15 to 20 minute duration, so it can be a really good introduction for somebody who's really afraid of being like I worked with a guy who was really afraid of being out of control, as his perception for a psychedelic journey, for 6 to 8 hours. And so this was a good way for him to experience being out of control. A lot of veterans want to be in control. We were taught to be in control, and we're afraid of being out of control. The other thing too is while like all psychedelics have impact or efficacy on a lot of mental health illnesses or mental illnesses, this one to me is kind of more, it holds that same capacity as well, but it also holds a much more soul expansion capacity. And what I mean by that is you visit different realms and see different entities. One of the things, I'll probably put it in the comments, is check the comments, but there's a study out there, I think it's been replicated thousands of times now at this point, where this guy discovered that if you smoke DMT and then you point a laser at the wall, and then you get up close at the wall and look at the place where the laser is hitting, you'll see 1s and 0s. You'll see binary code. Like, that's been replicated by thousands of people, thousands of times. The scientists didn't believe him at first, and then they tried it and proved it. So it's real. So like you really do kind of experience a different realm type of thing versus being in this realm and having a dreamlike state. So it's pretty intense that way. I think some weaknesses, it can be really difficult to integrate. It's because you disassociate and because you go to different places from a I guess a therapeutic side of things. I don't know, and again, this is just me personally. I'm not an expert at DMT, but it can be really difficult to integrate, I believe, is my perception. Some of the problems. Bad trips are a lot more common, and not necessarily like bad trips, but like some of the stuff is much more difficult to integrate. Again, it mimics a near-death experience, and so if you're not comfortable, crossing over or experiencing something that mimics crossing over, that can leave you shaken, nervous, and anxious for weeks. And then again, there's a lot of caution. I want to stress the caution about this. Like, I'm not encouraging anybody goes out there and just starts fooling around with psychedelics. Like, if you have psychosis or schizophrenia or bipolar in your family history, you should not be doing any of this. If it's undiagnosed and it's there anyway, and you do some of this, you run the risk of tripping permanent psychosis. So that leads me to my final point, friends. Do your research. Do your own research, like in terms of like who you are. Like, do you have mental illness in your family? If so, what kinds? Is that compatible with psychedelic use? If not, steer clear of it. Yeah. All right. Like, comment, follow, share. You know the deal. Those help us too. Thanks.